Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome.
All right, so with that, hi and welcome to After the Hype. I'm your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
Hi.
Ryan James.
Yes, I am.
And CHEWIE Darso.
Hi.
Oh, wow. That sounded great.
Somebody got their a late start on breakfast today.
Yeah.
That sounded like a bagel with some tomato and salmon on top.
Yeah. Maybe a couple capers, maybe an onion.
Our Postmate was late, and I was adjusting this room for you.
Oh, it sounds so gross.
Welcome to the Whack It
Yeah.
Cast.
Special guest today, coming on for our special two-parter episode, All Turtles All the Time, is Elliot Campos from Superhero Sampler. Hi, Elliot.
Hey, thanks.
Now, don't get excited. We don't have two Turtles episodes.
That's
Elliot's
true.
having a Turtle episode.
That's very true. So you can listen to us today on Thursday, where we're doing the 2007 TMNT movie, where I think some people around the table liked it, some might not have. We're going to get into that. And then tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow you can tune to Superhero Sampler, and we're going to be doing, I'll let Elliot introduce his own show.
We will be doing the 2012 Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, specifically the episode Invasion of the Squirrelanoids.
Yeah, I love that episode. It's so great. Let's just talk about that. We'll just ruin Elliot's episode.
Yep. Let's do it. We're taking over.
Let's blow the load. Let's do it. It's good for crossovers when you do everything interesting in the first part, and then the second is just like time killer.
Yep.
Oh, we got 40 more minutes? Ooh.
And then I believe either on this Thursday or next Thursday, you can also catch me on an episode of But That's Just My Opinion, where I talk all things Power Rangers with a friend of the show, Matt Lantrip.
That's just your opinion.
Oh, yeah, it was 100% my opinion, and it was good. I liked it. I got
So
to
what you're
bitch about Power
saying-
Rangers for a solid hour. I always love doing that, because everyone else usually just kind of interrupts me and tells me to stop talking about Power Rangers,
Yeah.
which I think Chewie's about to do.
No, I was gonna. The time is gone now. You said it was your opinion, so I'm like, so it was the whole time of you being right. But
Oh, yeah. Well, that's everything, isn't it? Don't correct me, because I'm right. Anyhow,
Actually, Brian,
Did it just get colder in this room?
oh, I wish.
those are the ice daggers.
So we're going to do a quick plug section. You can follow us on Facebook at After the Hype and Twitter at ATH_podcast. Everywhere else on the internet at ATH Podcast. And you can email us if you'd like to reach out to us in a nice, anonymous way at athpodcast@gmail.com. And we're always excited to hear from you, and we'll hit you back usually pretty quick, because there's 4 of us who can check the email account. So,
Physically hit you back.
yeah, who knows who you'll get an email back from, but that's part of the joy.
We won't
Unless
tell,
you-
we
unless-
won't tell you.
Yeah, we won't tell you who it is. Or if I say something mean, I'll sign it as Ryan.
Actually, we'll probably all sign
That's
in this
just
right.
about
They
right.
can't tell the difference.
And then, Elliot, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at EscapeELL. Also listen to the podcasts Superhero Sampler and Beyond School.
Cool. Let's get started with a Where Have You Been Doing? And as I've been doing lately, because it's more fun this way, I'm going to let the guest go first. Elliot, where have you been doing?
Same old, sitting around watching movies. The best one I've seen recently is called The Wages of Fear. Have any of you guys seen that?
I have not.
Nope.
Classic film from the 50s. It is a foreign film available via the Criterion Collection. It is a nail-biting thriller about these tough guys who have to drive these trucks through the jungle that are loaded with jars of nitroglycerin. And it's a situation where they can't go too fast because they'll hit bumps, the jars will jostle and explode, and they can't drive too slow because the sun will heat the jars, they'll get overheated and explode. So it's very, very tense, the kind of hold your breath suspense that I love so much. And the one thing I would warn is that the first act is very slow to get going because it's 1950s foreign film, so it's just about atmosphere of this small town, introducing the characters in a very laconic fashion. But once it gets going, it is just like edge of your seat stuff. And it's really great to see that kind of thing in a 1950s movie. You know, it's like the thrill of watching a great Hitchcock movie.
Did they remake that? It sounds really familiar.
Yes, William Friedkin remade it in the 70s as Sorcerer.
That's
with,
right. Okay.
Roy Scheider.
I've seen that. I've not seen the original.
Is Sorcerer good?
It was all right.
Yeah, so
It wasn't good enough to make me go, I wonder where this came from. I just kind of saw it and then forgot about it, so you just mentioned
well,
it.
that's Friedkin's fault. Yeah. What did he ever do?
Chewie, where have you been doing?
Last night we went to a burlesque show that was Steven Spielberg themed.
That was a lot of fun.
It was. Had a very good time. Saw our friend who is Leggy Lass Greenleaf. Very popular burlesque dancer around LA.
AKA Deneen Melody, who's been on our show.
She has been on our show. She was on our 90s battle.
I would say my favorite act was actually the girl who did Data from Goonies.
She was fantastic.
She did a hip hop rendition,
sounds amazing.
and she was fantastic. And it was quite enjoyable.
Ryan, what about you? Where have you been doing?
Based on a suggestion by Josh Russell, old friend of the show, I watched something on Netflix called
Ooh.
Documentary Now. It's
we know people. One of my not good friends, but a friend worked on that. She did production design.
Oh, it was amazing. It's this a mockumentary show originally on IFC, put together by Bill Hader and Fred Armisen. It's kind of a spoof of all the popular forms of documentary. So they have like a Thin Blue Line episode. They have a Pablo Escobar episode. And they just kind of go through and lampoon all the different popular documentaries in a really funny way. I recommend anyone listen to it. Watch it.
I'll just listen.
It's pretty great to listen to alone. Sometimes I would get distracted and be on my computer and just listen. But it's great to watch, too.
John, what about you? Where have you been doing?
Nothing too exciting. Just some more Pokemon Go. Got back into that since I work near a bunch of Pokestops, and it's just like no effort to actually play. So it's pretty cool. And then I'm still doing Elder Scrolls Online. Just got to level 20. So, yeah, not that exciting, but I'm having fun. So.
Yeah, I've seen you post a few times like, hey, people should buy this game and come play with me. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Nope.
It's very much an MMO, though. So if you're not into MMOs, you're not going to like it at all.
Yeah, that's why I never picked it up.
No.
It's just not for me. Yeah. Elder Scrolls already walks that line kind of close. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Brian had me watch the Superhero Cafe episode where Superman is obsessed with Pokemon Go.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
So my where have you been doing? I finally, after way too long of time, finished Ash vs. Evil Dead. I'd watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then just for whatever reason, not because I didn't like it, I just stopped watching it. I just kind of fell out of touch with it. And then I've been seeing ads for the second season, decided to watch the rest of it, and it got better. Like, I actually think the show got better as it went along. It got really good once they get to the cabin from Evil Dead, and they spend like the last
It
3
was
episodes
so much
there.
better.
And then suddenly it kind of feels like Evil Dead again. Not that it didn't before, because it still kind of felt like Ash, but it felt more like Army of Darkness than Evil Dead throughout most of the show.
Gotcha.
And then the very end, it feels very much Evil Dead because they're in the cabin. It's a lot of fun. Some of the acting kind of goes out the window at the end. I'm not sure if it's because they kind of ran out of money because they put all their money into special effects, and I'm not sure they had enough time to do multiple takes with some of the actors or whatnot.
Maybe
But
reshoots.
yeah, it could be something like that. Overall, I think it's definitely worth your time. I know there's some kind of a little too chauvinistic, masculine bullshit stuff in the beginning, but that stuff kind of weeds itself out as the show goes along. Yeah, I think we should get started. Everybody
Cool.
ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Talk some turtles.
Let's do this.
Turtle.
This is our 4th episode on Ninja Turtles, I think it is.
Yep.
Do we
At
like
least.
turtles?
I think we might be fans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big possibility. Yeah, so today's episode is on the 2007 TMNT animated film, which John and I have mentioned many times on this show that we're both big fans of.
Yeah.
And it's always fun showing it to other people to see the very, very wide array of reactions of, yeah, you're right, that's awesome, to, why did I just watch that? Like, that was just kind of boring.
Yep.
And yeah, so I'm excited to talk about it today because I think we kind of have that exact kind of polarizing thing around the table, which would be kind of cool to see how it all works out. So just really quick, I'm going to kind of skip the review today because nobody wrote a funny one, so I blame you.
The listener.
I'm sorry. Oh, not me.
The listener who's definitely not listening today, I blame that guy.
What a jerk.
He's a dick, that guy. So the movie cost $34 million, which I think for $34 million, the animation's pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Especially 2007, the entire rooftop Leonardo Raphael scene is beautiful. And then it made $54 million, and then overseas made another 41, so it ended up at $95 million, but still didn't get a sequel, which I thought was surprising since it tripled its budget. I thought maybe they thought it was going to just make that much more, but oh well. It's kind of too bad because there's a big tease at the end of it for Shredder, and it would have been kind of cool to see what they would have done with him, but
Wasn't the whole like property too kind of in a weird transition phase
Yeah,
too,
it
at the
seems
same
like it,
time?
yeah.
Like rights and different different. There was like 2 different iterations of a show too.
Yeah.
right around the same time.
Yeah, everything was kind of a mess at that
Yeah.
point. And this was before the comic had come out and really gotten popular again. So it was kind of it was a weird, kind of sad time for Turtles fans. And this one very strange, going for kind of a niche audience movie came out. And it didn't do bad. It just didn't do as well as I think they thought it was going to. But we needed to get started with a breakdown. Coming today from Elliot Campos. Elliot, you excited to do a breakdown?
Am I ever?
God, usually our breakdowns come with a courtesy of a dead, naked corpse in the background. Today we have a sassy bear.
And if you like Sassy Bear and want to see more of him, email podcast@gmail.com.
Do you want more Sassy Bear?
We will bring Sassy Bear into every episode. if
Sassy
people
Bear
want-
should do the
I
breakdown next
didn't
time.
do that on purpose. He naturally put his arm up like
Yeah,
that.
because he's a sassy bear. Sometimes he wears a lampshade on his head. He's a crazy, sassy bear.
He's a crazy.
All right, Elliot, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go!
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a fractured family as the film begins, but they have to put aside their differences and learn to work together as this centuries-old warlord king guy, voiced by Patrick Stewart, comes to the fore with this army of statue guys, and there are all these monsters rampaging, and there's also this clan of ninjas led by this ninja warrior lady, and Kevin Smith has a cameo as a diner cook.
I guess that's a success.
I feel like you were very not excited about this.
What gave that away? Was it the Ed Kevin Smith as a cameo as a diner cook?
This is the best part of the movie.
It's his best part of the movie.
For me, it was when you said bunch of ninjas instead of the Foot Clan.
I'm not going to articulate to that extent.
It's too bad. I thought the Foot Clan is one of the things the movie does really, really well. But, whatever. You're welcome to your wrong opinion.
He hasn't even given it yet. We're inflecting.
That's true. We're really reading into
I don't
this.
know who's judging me more, the sassy bear or you guys.
It's definitely the sassy bear.
I think he really just wanted to make sure he got it done in 30 seconds so he could insult you.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So if you want to get that insult out my way, you are welcome to at this time.
I'm good.
That's his insult. He's better than you. Brian.
That's actually a pretty damn good insult.
Yeah.
Turn the other shell.
It's such a strong
It's
insult.
my favorite
He's
quote
just-
from the movie. You just took it.
Oh boy! All right, let's get started on this movie. I kind of want to talk about, like, we kind of touched on a little bit in the before the breakdown of like just the climate of the movie, but I kind of want to talk about the hype of this thing because there was really none.
Right.
Which was like, I remember when the first trailer came out and everyone just kind of went, "That looks shitty."
When was this released? In
2007.
In the year.
In the year, it was I want to say early. I want to say like March. I don't remember exactly. It's not.
It wasn't a big summer movie. It
No,
was
no,
kind
no,
of,
no, no.
Feels like maybe closer to the beginning of the year, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when. It's not on here, at least that I can see. March. Yeah, March 23rd. But yeah, I just remember no one being excited about it. And it wasn't like when they did the new Paramount one where they released the image of the turtles and everyone just exploded with, "What the fuck is that? Those don't look like turtles. They're monsters. Why is Shrek in a Ninja Turtle movie?"
Well, yeah, because this one was kind of fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing to complain about. But let me ask you, because Ninja Turtles were kind of off my radar. As a little kid, I loved them. I had all the action figures. I watched that cartoon that we grew up with. I saw the 3 movies that came out, and then I was like, okay, I'm an adult, and I don't have to pay attention to turtles anymore.
That's
and then
so sad.
I talked to
What?
younger people who talk about the one with the girl turtle in it. Like that
Oh.
was
Next Mutation.
That was
Mutation.
that was a
terrible.
cartoon.
No,
It
it
was
was
live
live
action.
action.
It was live action.
Yeah.
They
It was
gave
live
her
action?
boobs.
Show
It was
or movie?
so weird.
TV show.
It's a TV show.
TV
They
show?
did do a
Fox Kids after school.
They did do a crossover with Power Rangers, which was awesome.
When
Power
was,
Rangers in space.
That's right.
What era was that?
What do you mean era?
Early 2000s?
It's like late 90s.
Late 90s.
Late 90s,
like
early 2000s.
98, 99.
And then what happened? Was this before any reboots of the show? That's 2007 movie?
No, this was after the second cartoon, the one where they
Okay.
all look like super muscly and have super long bandanas.
I
This is
never
after
watched that one.
It's actually pretty good.
It was good, yeah.
I rented a VHS tape of it one time, and it was Turtles in Space.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. And it was like 4 episodes strung together, and it didn't even conclude on that tape because the storyline was so long. So it was just like, I spent all that time watching it and didn't even conclude in that tape. And it's like, I'm not even going to go back to the store to get another one. Forget it. This is it. Like, you blew it.
I enjoyed the show for what it was, but I never felt the need to watch that one like religiously.
Yeah, I think this movie kind of fell into this realm of like too soon to hit the nostalgia wave of our generation,
Right.
who's now having kids and showing their kids Ninja
Yep.
Turtles.
Yep.
And while we were like in just out of high school and college, and we're like trying to do some life stuff, so we're not caught up in our own nostalgia, and just kids stopped caring. So I think that was kind of where this movie fell flat.
Yeah, it just kind of landed at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like, it came out when nobody was asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sometimes that works out to people's benefit. Like, we didn't know we wanted this, and that can work out great. But this movie, as much as I love it, and I think it's a really good movie, it was not good enough to make that, like, splash of,
Right.
like, holy shit, I didn't know I needed this in my life.
It wasn't that flash in the pan like the new show is. Like,
Right, yeah.
And it was all new characters. Like we had April and Casey Jones and the Turtles and Splinter, but we didn't recognize
Karai.
any of the villains. Is that someone from
Yeah,
what?
Karai was in, she was in the comics, for one, but I'm not
But
sure
I
if she was
think
ever in
that's
the cartoon shows.
where it fell flat for a lot of people because it was a continuation. It wasn't anything like new per se. Like they didn't redo anything. They started from the last movie and then brought in characters from the comic books, which you kind of lose two sets of people with that. Because Ryan didn't know any of these characters, so then you lose people there
Right.
because they think they're going to know what's going on. And then a lot of people didn't really pay attention to the third film, so they don't understand
That's true.
all the things that would happen afterwards.
Yeah,
And
it was a weird idea to go for that whole like post third movie kind of like it's kind of
Yeah.
post third movie
Yeah.
because April's no longer a reporter now.
Yeah.
She's a museum curator,
she's an archaeologist.
archaeologist. Like, so like they kind of wanted it to be part 4, but then also kind of not. So it's a weird option.
So
but
it's like that's where you lose a lot of people with that because they feel left out and they feel confused and then they're like, whatever.
Now, as much as I agree with you, I think one of the best things about Ninja Turtles is that, like, at least as far as most diehard fans go, they don't really give a shit about where things start or where they begin. Like, the origin story changes all the fucking time.
It's a great movie for diehard fans, but a lot of people with Turtles just kind of like like that one dude I had the conversation with you with, but I said, like, did you see this? Did you see this? And because he told me you like Turtles, he's like, no, I'm a 90s guy. I just like the original cartoon. And I straight told him that's stupid. But
That's not stupid at all.
I mean, it is stupid when you say you're a huge fan, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
diehard fan, like
Yeah.
what Brian is. And like he's telling me that, and he's like, well, no, I just like the original cartoon. I'm like, then you're not a diehard fan. You just like the 90s cartoon.
It's just phrasing.
poser.
yeah, Turtles poser.
Yeah. But I mean, for this movie, I agree with you. I think it was kind of a weird, very weird surprise it got greenlit idea of kind of a 3.5, not really 4, but kind of 4.
Was anything else animated at the time that was really kind of big? Because I feel like there was also a dip in kind of
No, this
animation that
was
wasn't
kind of
kid.
at the high point of animation. This is when like
This was the year
Pixar was
before
crushing
WALL-E.
it and
Wally. So then it was
yeah.
probably just a different kind of animation people wanted. They were like,
Yeah.
oh, animated
Yeah.
turtles. That's not Pixar.
This
That's
was
not
the year
Disney.
between Cars and WALL-E.
Yeah.
So this one should have been great. People liked Cars for some reason. Cars isn't that bad though.
Because Pixar.
Yeah.
No.
Cars is fun.
Cars is simple.
Wow, we just took a major dump on Cars over the course like that. Cars is fine. It's fun. It's simple.
Well, shoot.
It sucks.
Safe. It's the one you go to when you want to feel safe.
So aside from the fact that this was like kind of a sequel, kind of a reimagining, what did you guys think of the plot of this thing?
My favorite thing about the plot of this movie that I think really, really works well is I love the retired turtles, like the retired Ninja Turtles. I almost would have watched an entire movie of them. I mean, nobody else would have, but I kind of liked Donnie working in IT. I liked Michelangelo not knowing what to do with his life, so becomes a comedic version of himself.
He is Dan Aykroyd at the start of Ghostbusters
Yep.
too.
Yeah, entirely. Yeah. I like that. I think that's kind of fun, and I think
He's doing what he knows, and he's making money off it. Go Michelangelo.
It was cool to see them post the the major villain that they've ever faced.
well,
like-
really, I mean, the way the movie makes it appear, the only villain
Yeah.
they faced. Like now that Shredder and the Foot are gone, we have nothing to do.
Yeah.
They don't bring in a Planet X at all. Like that does not a thing.
No, they don't go for the mutants, the mutagen sort of thing, really. I mean, beyond making them, it's not really a plot point. But I like that. But I also like the it's kind of like the call to action of we're not only as good as our greatest villain, we need to be the best heroes we can be. And I like that they need to save the city again. I kind of like that thing. That they need to shake the cobwebs off and go be heroes again. And I like the whole 13 monster things. I thought it was cool. I thought the beginning's a little meh. the whole intro ancient times big army thing was kind of.
It felt very.
Mummy Returns.
Yeah, the Mummy Returns.
With a narrator who would never come back.
Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah.
He had to go be
the
Morpheus.
Silver Surfer.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So with that opening, just kind of laying out everything about this complete throwaway villain who you're never going to see again. This is just kind of a placeholder villain for the movie. This movie came out 2 years after Batman Begins, and it really feels like a post-Christopher Nolan superhero movie.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
It's very dark in that they're holding the big gun for the sequel. They're not giving us Shredder in this first movie. They, as you mentioned, they tease him at the end, just like Batman Begins did with Joker, had the playing card at the end. But because they unload this avalanche of exposition with us at the beginning, explaining the king and what he's doing, I think when you mentioned Mummy Returns, that's very apt. But like the Mummy Returns had The Rock, who that was kind of his first movie, I think. But he was still like a figure in pop culture, and it was exciting to see him do his first movie, as opposed to this, where it just feels completely generic nonsense. And even when you find out that the villain is voiced by Patrick Stewart, it's just a humongous cognitive dissonance. Because the villain is this big, hulking guy, and Patrick Stewart is not.
It's so recognizable, too.
Yeah, it so clearly sounds like Patrick Stewart. With Sarah Michelle Gellar as April Summers, she looks like
April
Buffy.
Summers.
April O'Neil.
April O'Neil looks like Buffy Summers.
There we go.
Combined it. So there's, okay, I get it. Then you have Chris Evans, who doesn't really add much to
I
it.
liked Chris Evans. I thought he did a great job masking his voice. He didn't really sound like Chris Evans.
I don't know if he has a super distinctive voice.
I think he does. I mean,
And him and
especially
Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think I feel the same way about.
Sarah Michelle Gellar sounds exactly like Sarah Michelle Gellar talking into a microphone.
Yeah.
But Chris Evans just doesn't really sound like anything, really,
They
because
did-
he's an actor. He's not a voice actor.
They
Right.
did well enough to where, like, when I first saw it, I didn't recognize it was them until the credits. I was like,
see,
that makes
I
sense.
picked up Sarah Michelle Gellar immediately, but Chris Evans I didn't. And I think,
Yeah.
especially now post Marvel, like we're very used to Chris Evans' voice as Captain America. The
Right.
fact that I still don't pick it out immediately, I think shows that he did a pretty good job voice acting this. He's not
The disappointment.
Nathan Drake, but
The disappointment with him wasn't even really his fault. It was just like Casey Jones' character in this movie is just kind of bland. He's kind of a klutz and then has a cute moment at the end because of his klutziness, but
Yeah, it's
He's
like
a-
a cartoon of the movies, kind of.
Casey Jones is a good character for like serialization, where you can do a lot more with him and explore his relationship with April. But in terms of like a movie, and I haven't seen the Stephen Amell interpretation of this character in
Less
this summer's
klutzy.
Yeah, I haven't either.
TMNT 2 film. But in terms of a movie, he just feels like an extra guy just on the margins, because you already have 4 superheroes that you need to contend with over the running time and give them all their own arcs that resolve satisfactorily by the end. So yeah, he is just kind of the klutz, the background guy
Yeah.
who's there because April needs somebody to bone.
But I
I
still
was-
think at the same time they kind of went further into his relationship with Raphael. Even
Yeah.
down to like Raph falling asleep at his story. It's like, hey man, it's okay. Like he was actually kind of there for Raphael.
I mean, I think a lot of times, especially with not really the comics nowadays, but back in the day when they were first kind of starting out, not the original, the current run, Casey Jones really is at his best when he's just being Raphael's best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this movie nailed it in 1 or 2 scenes, and I
Right.
think that's kind of where I agree with what Elliot's saying, where he could have been better if they just kind of kept it more relegated to that as opposed to that plus Klutz plus April O'Neil's fuck buddy.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't think he's the weakest thing in the movie, but he is kind of like, they could have done more. But I feel that every time I see Casey Jones, with the exception of the current comic run and the current show on Nickelodeon, who just did something completely different with Casey Jones, but it works for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he in the episode I watched with you?
No, he's not.
I didn't think so. I always liked him as like an anti-hero. I always felt like he was like, the sidekick who like has slightly lower morals than the Turtles, and he doesn't follow Splinter's teachings, and he's just kind of the wild card.
Yeah, he has been that since the 90s.
That's
Yeah.
how I liked
Yeah.
him. And they
Yeah.
kind of took that character he was in the movies, where he was kind of like a bro wild card, and turned it into a klutz for this, and I didn't like it.
Was this in line with his appearance in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, though? because he doesn't really do anything in that movie.
I don't
I
even
No,
barely
he
remember
had
him
more
in
to do
that.
in this than he did in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Then
one
he's
he was
just like,
really.
hey guys,
Yeah, that one he's just there to like, hey. He's
you
kind of like the
remember
wacky neighbor from like a 90s
contractually
sitcom.
obligated appearance.
Well, in this one, because of those good moments, like it's more apparent the problems. Like
Yeah.
in this one, there's more problems because they actually try with him. Whereas in the third Turtles movie, he's just comedic relief.
Yeah, this one, it's kind of like the age-old, like one step forward, two steps back. Because you got that step forward, the two steps back are much more noticeable.
Right.
Well, in this movie, compared to the turtle stuff when I was a kid, April is a much more proactive character. When I was a kid with the 80s cartoon, April was very much the person who either delivers the exposition or the exposition is told to her, or she is the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Right.
And now in the modern incarnation, she's a lot more proactive. In this movie, she's wearing a ninja outfit.
Well,
at a
you
certain
can
point.
definitely tell that this.
She has swords. She's a trained
Yeah.
fighter. She
Yeah.
just runs right into danger. Like, her character in this movie is so much better than any other
I
one.
mean, just casting Sarah Michelle Gellar as her speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah.
true.
And I can't nail this down. I was trying to look it up earlier. The first time she actually became a fighter, I believe it was in the second cartoon series. And this movie really ran with it. But I like that she's no longer just the klutzy reporter,
Yeah.
unless you're
That's
watching
good.
the Paramount movies.
They started doing things with the character when
Yeah, I mean, and they even again, I can't sing the IDW Comics praises enough, but like they do a great thing where I don't think this movie does a bad thing or the cartoons or anything where they make April a fighter. But I like that they in the comics going right now, they've done a good job of making her more of a proactive, female empowered character while not trying to make her just another fighter. Like she's just a smart, intelligent person where the Turtles couldn't figure shit out without her, but they didn't have to make her yet another ninja.
Is she basically Lois Lane?
More like a Margot Kidder, Lois Lane of
Which
super
is
smart.
Lois Lane.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of where she is in the comics now. Whereas this movie, I still like this interpretation of April O'Neil. I think it's kind of fun. She's spunky, smart, and a good fighter. Like she holds her own against the Foot Clan, which is pretty cool.
It's one thing that's strange to me is it seems like April and Casey in this movie know the turtles better than they know themselves in a way, because none of the other turtles can find Leo, and then she finds Leo in the middle of a forest. She sees the signs and everything. Oh, the Leo's here. The brothers couldn't figure that out, and then with
He's a
Raphael.
reporter.
But the brothers weren't trying.
Yeah, that's true. But also the thing that annoyed me so much with Raphael about him being a vigilante on his own, and they just complain that he sleeps all day. Raphael's not doing anything. But Casey Jones knows immediately. Yeah, he's the vigilante at
Night
night.
Stalker.
He's
Yeah.
Night Stalker. And Casey Jones never questioned it. It was so obvious. And to me, I'm like, well, shouldn't the brothers have known that too?
but they're so wrapped up in their own thing. Like they're
that's-
just so
that's-
lost at
That's
like,
speaking more volumes to what they're going through. Of they're
that
not
the brothers are just so divided.
Yeah, they're not in each other's lives anymore.
Michelangelo's got this giant foam head on. He can't see clearly.
Well, having multiple siblings, there is kind of an element of that. I'm removed from the equation, so like I don't know what they're up to at any given time. There's kind of a sense of like displacement among the siblings, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. I totally get like
Yeah.
my brothers wouldn't necessarily know where I'm at or what I'm doing or
You don't live
care.
together in a sewer.
No, we don't live together in a sewer either. But they're not always trying to keep up or trying to find me. If,
Right.
Like if I were in trouble, they
I
wouldn't
just got
necessarily know.
the general feeling that they're all just completely ignoring each other,
Yeah.
which is really sad for a family.
Yeah, and it's really sad for the Turtles, which are always known as stronger together.
Yeah.
And I
But
don't.
the one thing I really liked in that opening where they're not paying attention to what each others are doing, the thing that I think they probably should have picked up on is Donnie is IT, and he's walking around. Michelangelo is the party guy. He's just kind of hanging out. And then Raph, who's supposedly just sleeping all day, is the only one who's still walking around armed. Mm-hmm. He's the only one who has his weapons on him at all times. And I thought that was kind of like a cool little subtle thing to show that he's not thrown in the towel. He's not giving up. He's still a vigilante. And I thought that was...
Which is funny because he is the classic first one to give up.
He's the first one to give up on being a team. He's
Right.
not the first one to give up on the fight.
Oh,
And
that's
the,
true.
the really
Yeah.
sad thing is then with all that, then you really get the sense that Splinter gave up
Yeah.
because he's the father, and with like your quote, I don't want to ruin it by saying it, but he's just paying attention to something else completely and not paying attention to his sons then.
Yeah.
But didn't he send Leo on a mission?
Yeah, the worst. That's one
A
thing that
South
annoys.
American dictator in a jungle.
He keeps saying, "I sent you to be a better leader." So the best version of being a better leader is go be isolated in a forest by yourself.
It's
I'm
a
sorry.
jungle.
Well, and I
You
think
don't understand ninjas.
Jungle.
That's how they work.
I think that's an interesting take to put Splinter in, that he's not exactly the perfect leader or the
Right.
perfect father, where a lot of the iterations are like he is the most wise. He
Yeah.
could just take on the bad guys all by himself and the turtles aren't necessarily needed. Like in the new iteration, I like the Splinter because he's so wise and he's the source of all the wisdom, but
Right.
this is an older and tired Splinter.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
parent
I think
who's
the
had
actor died like 2 years later.
Yeah, not even 2 years.
He was
died before the
great.
movie
I
came
love
out.
this iteration of Splinter, and the drawing is great too.
Yeah.
and it's an interesting take on a character who is usually perceived as kind of like the better
Yeah.
character out of all of them, just wisdom and skill wise. He's tired. He's a tired parent when you have multiple children. That's a reality.
Coming from a dad.
Yep. With just one kid.
And his portrayal is the only source of animation problem I have during this. I know it doesn't bother a lot of other people, but it's annoying to me that he looks like a fox and not a rat.
I don't know why it doesn't bother me. It was one of those things where it's like, no, Splinter's a rat.
Yeah, it
but he
doesn't
looks
bother
like a
me 'cause
fox.
I
but-
know it, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a rat.
And I like it. It's like very aesthetically pleasing to me.
Yeah, it
I
looks
really
cool.
hate the current animated version.
Oh, for the new movies?
Yeah. No, for the new
It's a TV show?
TV show.
Oh, I love
But he
the new
looks
TV
like
show.
a rat. He looks like a cuddly, wonderful rat that I want to fight with.
yeah, but
Coming from the mother of a rat.
I like him as
Adopted
like,
mother. Sorry.
The
love it.
true rat queen.
I like him as a short, brown, old-looking, frail leader. I don't like him as like this super great posture, like younger-looking dojo kind of guy.
Well, they're all younger in the new show.
Look, you gotta age down Aunt May. You gotta age down Splinter.
Oh, he's Hot Splinter. That's what he is in the
Yep.
new show.
Hot Splinter.
Boom. I have a question.
Shoot.
Raphael wants to continue being a vigilante, even though the rest of the team doesn't, I guess. Why does Raphael need to dress like a different vigilante and instead just being himself?
Probably to hide it from them.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
trying
Why?
to hide it from his brothers.
so they
Why?
don't try to stop him.
I disagree with all this. I think it's because he's a teenager and he wants to look cool.
Yeah.
that too.
Okay, if if he wants to look cool, I can't argue with that.
I think that's all what it is.
But there is that element. They're all teenagers, and sometimes we kind of forget that until they do like really childish things.
Yeah.
And
Especially
Raph
in this iteration, but
Raph is very vain as well, so
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. I want to look like a cool, badass guy.
He's
vain,
the
can't
other
sit
question
still.
I have is how did Raph build that?
Never
Donnie's much
question
more the
that.
technological
Yeah. Yeah,
you
person.
just
He
can't ask
didn't
those
need
things.
to build it. He just slapped stuff together.
Oh no, that was a working exoskeleton.
That's true.
I also think it may have been a level of, well, I'm out here all by myself without my brothers to back me up, so I need armor.
Yeah, that could be. He doesn't have anyone
He
to
has
fall
a
back on
shell.
anymore. Yeah.
he was already thrown through a
True.
roof of a building.
Right.
Like he's well aware what the foot can do to just one turtle.
I will say that in terms of the teenage aspect of the Turtles, that's the one thing that I never really feel.
Right.
Because they do just feel like they're in their 20s, at least. When it comes
Which-
to teenagers, they should be a lot spunkier, younger. I know they're goofy. They get less goofy as time goes on in multimedia adaptations, but they never hit me as teenagers. They hit
In
me
this movie
as
specifically?
just in general, like throughout all of the incarnations, like they've always just seemed like grown-ups or like young
of,
adults
yeah.
at least. Like in this, we see Michelangelo and Donatello doing the exact same kind of jobs that people do when they're in their 20s, and they aren't building careers that last for
It would
them,
make
but these
sense
are just
for
like
this
easy
being
paychecks.
The
Yeah,
fourth film that
Right.
they're not teenagers anymore.
Yeah, no, that kind of makes sense to me in this one. If they were like 21, 22 at this point, it really wouldn't surprise me. They're not going
Yeah.
to change the name of the movie to 20-year-old.
But they
No.
still got that
Mutant Ninja
mentality. They're still
Turtles.
kind of they haven't made that shift to adulthood yet. They're still kind of in that
Yeah.
no
They're still
zone.
living in their parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20-something Ninja Turtles, just 20-something Mutant Ninja Turtles doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it does not.
So,
That got canceled.
I get it.
I mean, how long did it take the Teen Titans to turn into just the Titans?
Maybe that's why
Young
it's called
Justice.
just TMNT instead of teenage, because the
That
T
very well
stands
could
for
be.
20-something.
It could be.
Boom.
Yeah, because I disagree as far as the Nickelodeon show goes. I think they're definitely feeling like teenagers
Oh,
there, especially
agree.
like the dumb crush that Donatello has on April O'Neil. And like all it does is take her to talk to him, and all of a sudden he has like little hearts around him. He's like, oh,
Michelangelo's obsession with video games and comics is great.
yeah. I think that one feels more like teenagers. But I agree with you on this one. They don't feel like it, but I don't think they were supposed to necessarily. Beyond
could
just
be.
what I was saying about Raphael wanting to look cool. But tell me a 20-year-old that doesn't want to look cool as well.
Oh, you always want to look cool.
I don't at 30. I gave up.
No, you didn't.
I totally did. I'm wearing a Ninja Turtle shirt right now.
And you look cool.
Looking cool.
Didn't even try.
In my $10 jeans I bought from Sears.
Nice.
When I was a teenager.
What?
When did you spend $10?
I just don't even know when you went to Sears.
It was a while ago.
Where is Sears? Is there one here?
Produced
Yeah, it's in
It's
Thursday.
in the mall down from
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
After the Hype, come to you by Sears.
but not the Roebuck part.
Okay, so who haven't we talked about? We haven't talked about really Leonardo much. We need to talk about him, don't we? He is
He's
kinda,
fine.
He's grumpy.
He is more grumpy
They're
than
all
usual.
somebody.
He's so
I
great.
liked-
He's almost more grumpy than Raphael in this movie.
I liked that he had a little bit of arrogance to him when he came back. He's like, I'm better. Like, it's interesting to see what kind of faults they put on Leonardo. Like, especially in the new Turtles movie, how he was just like, I can't lead these jerks. Like,
Yeah.
he's so frustrated. And I was like, that was so cool to see that the leader is getting all the blame. He's the one who you look to, but he's got his own kind of like flaws. And I liked that when he was fighting against Raph, he was like, I'm better than you. And he wasn't. He's not.
Well, that's-
but like, it's interesting to see those come through on the iteration of his character.
I've always seen Leonardo as that type. Like, he's just the Cyclops of this like sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to. It's a good parallel. But yeah, I agree. I like that he needs to be the one in charge, and at this point, because he left so long, because he technically failed at his mission in the jungle, they don't follow him anymore, and it drives
And
him up
they
the wall.
shouldn't.
They should, but they need.
No.
He needs to get his shit together, and the way he gets his shit together is getting the shit kicked out of him by Raph.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You can't be a good leader without just people wanting to be led by you. And when you essentially abandon your family, even though whether or not Splinter said to go, you stayed down there for a long time.
It's supposed to be a year. He's gone longer. Yeah.
So it's just like you have to earn that back. And he thought he was just going to walk all into it. And that's not how it works.
No, not even with family. And I think that's the one thing Turtles always does really well is the whole family aspect
Yeah.
of it. But this one, the fact that he hurt them, I think, is really apparent. Even though they never full blown say that we felt abandoned by you, but
Well,
it's through.
it's for dudes. They're not really going to say.
Right.
"You
Yeah,
hurt me,
exactly.
bro."
But I like that the movie it's a strong choice to make that like a theme in the movie that they felt abandoned and they didn't want to follow him anymore, and they kind of make fun of him for it. They call like Mikey calls him Jungle Boy at one point, like.
I like that scene where he's
Yeah.
like, he gives him a command. He's like, yeah, right, Jungle Boy. And then
Yeah.
they jump away. And it's just like, that's nice. That's cool to see.
Yeah.
Like, gets glossed over.
But it does. But it's kind of this whole thing that we keep hitting on is that this movie went for a very kind of, I agree with what Elliot was saying, kind of post-Nolan dark take on the Turtles, which the Turtles have always been kind of dark. I mean,
They started out as a mature comic.
yeah.
Look at those first panels. They're so dark.
They're bloody, they're dark, they swear all the time. So it's almost a return to form while also packaging it in like this kid-friendly way. It's a very odd choice.
Yeah.
That may have been its downfall a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't know who his audience was.
It dealt
Definitely, yeah.
dealt with
I-
a lot of themes that kids are just not going to connect to.
Right.
Yeah, I saw this at the theater with my friend Drew after school one day, I believe. And I remember very clearly, we went to see this movie, and one of the trailers before the movie was Underdog, which is
Yeah.
the movie where Jason Lee voices this little dog in a superhero costume, and there are shots of the dog flying around the city. And it's just like, if that's the environment this movie is coming into, the environment of Disney's Underdog, then it's kind of just trying to appeal to two audiences of Turtles. That's a kid thing. It's a cartoon. You guys will love it. But we're also making it like moody and intense and including South American dictators for grown-ups. It's just like the people who are going to see this are college students who are most likely going to torrent it online for free. So this was just kind of a DOA movie. It just kind of seems like, which is unfortunate because, like you were saying, I think the animation is really incredible.
It still kind of holds up today. It's
Oh.
not perfect,
yeah.
but it's still
My
great. Yeah.
favorite,
part.
moment in this whole movie is when Leonardo and Raph are fighting in the
That's-
rain.
Man, they
Uh-huh.
put
And that
all
was
their time and
perfect.
effort into that.
really
Not
good.
all their time and effort. That's too mean. But that one point,
That's
they made it look good.
That's the most tactile a CG animated
Yeah.
film has ever been for me. That
Yeah.
rain scene is
Yeah.
like, oh, that felt
You
like
feel it.
Yeah. But on top of that, it's a good scene. Like, it's not just that it's well animated. Like, it's a good emotional punch scene. which granted in a kids movie still feels a little weird, but
Yeah.
but it's a great the chase up to it. I love the reveal of Raph's helmet come flying off. All of it was great, and then the full the lethal nature of it when they actually pull out their fucking stabbing and cutting weapons. Before it was just a fist fight. Like, that scene is near
Brian.
perfect.
What did you think of the villain?
You notice we haven't talked about it much.
Yeah, I think that nobody did. I'm sure.
It's the sassy bear in the room.
The villain in this movie is their relationship.
Right.
No, the
The-
villain
the
in the movie
actual-
that Elliot is asking about is Patrick Stewart.
I know,
And I think
but that's what I
he's-
mean. He's such a backstory to their story.
What is the
Yeah.
villain's name?
And if the villain
Winters.
Winters.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
I
what
know
do you
Winters
think of
because
Winters?
my favorite line, or second favorite line in the movie is Winters. More like fall. Get it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a great one. That
Michelangelo can still land him, guys.
That is such a great, horrible joke from Michelangelo. It's a good one. But go ahead.
bringing it back to Power Rangers for a
Yeah.
second, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie with Kimberly. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Like, she owns that joke. You can't step on it.
That's such a great. I completely forgot about that. I'm so ashamed. But it's
Unforgettable.
such a great moment. But no.
But yeah,
as
Winters.
a whole, Winters he's boring. Like, he doesn't
super
do
lame.
shit. They should
Even the
have.
monsters are lame.
The monsters I think look cool, but
They look cool, but they're lame.
They needed like 3 monsters.
You guys mentioned that, maybe jokingly, the Kevin Smith diner cook scene was the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
But, like, legit, the battle between Raphael Night Stalker and that little red demon monster thing.
Oh, yeah.
It suddenly became like Gremlins or a Tex Avery cartoon.
That was so cute.
And I was into it. Like, they're
too.
hitting each other with frying pans.
and the Black Betty song in the background.
Yep, I came back for that.
Yeah.
Because this movie, like, unlike something like, let's compare it to Civil War, where the villain was kind of like had a hand in the falling of the hero team. That would have been cool.
You said that perfectly with kind of had a hand.
It was a very pouty hand.
He kind of had it. He was kind of poking at it.
Yeah. Kinda. No, the whole way. It was all his doing. And
Sure. I'll agree to disagree with that one.
you don't think that about Civil War?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not even remotely.
All right.
Hey, we're
But,
dogpiling on turtles today.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
I appreciate what they tried to do with the switcheroo, but it just the whole villain plot was so already from the start not that interesting that it
No.
made it harder to be like, okay, Winter's cool, more turtle stuff. More turtle
Honestly,
stuff.
the smarter movie would have been Karai as the main villain,
Yeah.
and the monsters that resurrect.
The minute she's
Splinter.
on screen, I was like, oh, that's the villain.
Yeah.
And then she leaves the movie, and it's like,
It was
oh,
a
you're not the
beautiful
who's the
version
villain?
of Karai.
Yeah, I like this. I really like this.
Oh,
version
she was
of
the
Karai.
better villain for sure.
Yeah, but if they'd made her the villain and the monster whole plot, they could have kept that plot.
Yeah.
and they just need to get the monsters in there to resurrect Shredder, and then you have a very good movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that in my brain now.
Yeah,
It's
it'd have
so
been
good.
better. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. Winters is a boring snooze. He's just kind of there to have the plot happen, and then he's gone.
And Patrick Stewart
Yeah,
is doing his
totally
best
arbitrary.
like Oblivion role.
They tried to have it as a parallel because according Winters, excuse me, is supposed to have learned a lot from his mistakes over the last 3,000 years and how he needs to end the cycle and end war and end their suffering of being immortal. And he's doing it for his family. He's like, you don't just have your friends when not they're his family. And they try to reflect that between them and the turtles because the turtles end up coming together, but then their family falls apart. And it just didn't work so well as what they were hoping for, I imagine, because we didn't connect to them at all.
Well, and when the credits roll, that's where you're like, oh, they're the family too. Like, doesn't gel as well.
Yeah.
Like the whole reversal.
Yeah.
Like that's actually a smart thing to do. But in here, you're just like, oh wait, those were a family. Like they kind of
Yeah.
it's the lines are throwaway. Don't really buy the portrayal of like I've been here for 3,000 years.
Yeah,
To kind of speak to the theme of this, like I think where it kind of like didn't meet expectations is we have now grown to love like the Pixar model, which is we're going to make this movie that's a fun ride for kids, and we're going to write some jokes that might go over their heads, but their parents are going to love them. And even like Toy Story 3 had such a great arc and plot and jokes, and the Lego Movie too, and even I think the new cartoon on Nickelodeon does it better, where like this movie was like, hey, we're going to have this awesome ride for kids, and we're going to make it kind of dark for adults. No, I want you to make some jokes that I appreciate and like not try to make a movie for a high schooler. Like this, I think the target audience for this movie was like 11 to 14, and that's a really, really small audience.
See, I would say it's more than that. I would say it's more like 15 to 25. It just wasn't. I feel like the only thing for kids was the fact that it was called TMNT.
Yeah.
And there's a few toys out, but none of this movie really rings kids to me.
But I would have a way more fun time watching this as a kid who grew up like watching Indiana Jones and like these kind of like darker action films and whatever than an adult who's kind of gotten over it and would rather watch The Expendables or like a movie it was just such a plot.
Weird time because we had already given up on the two shows that came out before. Those weren't really watched. No one was watching them.
Right.
So it's like they couldn't necessarily predict that we'd be there for it. I mean, the fans would be there, but it's like, well, who are our fans now? Like, there's kind of on a macro level of like, what's our audience for this, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but
I still liked it.
and I think that's the perfect segue into quotes.
Nice.
Yeah, I still like it.
man. Cowabunga, dude.
So I'm gonna go first with my quote because I can't find the one that I want on IMDb, which is too bad. But I don't remember exactly that phrase, so I'm not going to ruin it. So the other line is, it comes when they're trying to explain what's going on with the monsters in the city to everybody going on, and out of nowhere, Michelangelo perfectly explains what's going on. Oh, so it's like Haley's Comet, only with monsters coming out.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I guess so. And Michelangelo goes, "Ha! I'm smart."
It's a great line.
And then undercuts himself immediately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then he crashes on his skateboard, but whatever.
My favorite is from Donatello. He's examining it was a dart, right, that they were shot with? And
right, yeah.
It says, he goes out loud, "This has Winter's name written all over it." And April says, "How can you tell?" And he says, "Because it has Winter's name written all over it." Literally says Winter's on the side of the dart.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Mine's just Casey Jones. When he goes to approach Night Watcher for the first time, and the Night Watcher is trying to do a big reveal, it takes his helmet off, and he's like, "How did you know it was me?" And Casey Jones says, "It wasn't that hard, man. You look like a big metal turtle."
Oh yeah, we've all been thinking it the whole
Pretty
time.
obvious.
There's no disguise.
That's a good one.
Maybe everyone was just willingly ignorant about the fact that he was the Night Watch.
Yeah.
I like the scene where Raphael's trying to get Casey Jones to come to the roof with him. He's like, "Meet me on the roof." "What is it?" It's like, "The roof." "You know where the roof is, don't you?" Pushy sidekick. And I was like, there's some of that sarcasm in there, which the movie didn't have enough of it. But it's still that moment. I was like, oh, that's Raphael. That's funny.
And who can hit sarcasm better than Nathan Drake?
Yeah.
Elliot, you got a favorite quote?
Did they say Cowabunga or Turtle Power?
They said Cowabunga. They never
Boom,
said Turtle Power.
Cowabunga.
They also made sure to say at the end, "God, I love being a turtle."
And that was Raphael, which was cool that he said that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the review system for today is going to be family-centric dramas.
Family-centric drama.
What's a family-centric drama?
What's family?
For example, I can go first. I'm going to go with Silver Linings Playbook.
Is that family-centric?
It absolutely is still family-centric.
I haven't seen it.
You never saw Silver? Okay.
No.
Okay, so it's still Bradley Cooper and his family, and he's kind of the Raphael, if you will, in this movie. He's kind of, or actually no, he'd be more Leonardo. He had to go out and do his own thing to learn to be a better person, then came back to the family to kind of bring the family back together, but it's all in shambles anymore and it doesn't work out. But it's all about family coming together and knowing what you want in life, either to dance or to fight crime. I can hear the audience rolling their eyes at me.
Does it have to be a drama?
No, I guess not.
Lots of things are dramatic.
Yeah.
Drama.
Like
some
your,
dramatic
like your
at the-
pronunciation of dramatic.
Yeah. That's not even how you say drama. I don't know where that came from. Drama.
Drama.
I got one.
Go.
I'll go with the Christopher Columbus film Stepmom,
Okay.
because that is a movie that kind of put me to sleep, but someone I know in my life really loves it.
Ouch.
I love it.
Hot damn,
We
that's a
just
good
got
one.
his true feelings about this movie. I was a little on the fence about how you felt.
Now
But
his
now
review
I
system
know.
came in loud and clear.
That's going into the notes as in
Hey.
all caps.
Hey man,
Whoa.
like I've got my feelings on my shell.
I like that Chewie's just looking for a movie on the
Yeah,
shelf.
no, I'm also out of.
All right, I'm going to go
All
with
right.
one. 2010's Karate Kid. Because it was a franchise film that the audiences didn't know they wanted, and it turns out they didn't.
Well, that one would have done a lot better if they hadn't put Jaden Smith in it.
And that's where the family drama comes in.
Yeah, that's okay.
He's only in it because he's in a family.
Because fucking Jackie Chan's casting was spot on.
I didn't even see it because I didn't want it so bad.
I'd watch it for Jackie Chan. I'd
right,
actually
I
give
will.
it a shot just for him.
Yeah, if the annals of cinema were burning to the ground and I had to either save TMNT or the Karate Kid remake,
Do not finish that thought. Just don't finish it.
And Elliot's doing his podcast alone this week.
Hope you brought your own equipment, bitch.
Hope you know how to use it.
Everyone knows how to use Brian's equipment.
it just kind of
go
gets
down that
passed
route
around.
I'm going to choose Flipper because, honestly, I don't watch a lot of family dramas that would even fit. So
Fair enough.
Flipper's the closest
Then
thing.
what
and
do
then-
you jerk off to?
And with that, we'll see you next week.
For all feedback, it's Escape ELL on
Chewie, you gotta come. Yeah, something.
Okay, the only thing I can think of, I'm not sure how I'm going to tie it in, but it's a movie I really enjoy. A Christmas Vacation.
That's amazing.
Oh, how do these relate?
Because it's all about the leader of the family, Chevy Chase, bringing them all back together. And he's just desperate to make it work. And he really wants them to respect him for who he is, but he can't quite get it to work because the lights won't actually turn on whenever he wants them to.
Mm-hmm.
And you got this side villain in the next door with Julia Dreyfus.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then they kind of get in the way, but not really. And after they defeat the squirrel, they get rid of a fire, they get rid of the big bad mean boss, and they all come together in the big family at the end.
Nice.
Wow, so you win the review game.
That's pretty
for
great.
Just straight up bullshitting.
It
Okay.
was the first thing I thought of, but I kept trying to think, no, I could think of something better.
Nah, that worked. That worked way too well.
Awesome.
Okay, so for plugs for today, so stick around after plugs for the answer to this question. Hopefully everyone here can answer it. The only villain we really ever get to see in Ninja Turtles is Shredder. Who do we want to see next time that isn't Shredder? And I'm going to throw in Krang as well. Not Krang or Shredder.
damn
Throw in a legit TMNT villain that we've never seen in theaters before. So you can follow us, like I said before, at Facebook at After the Hype, Twitter, ATH_podcast, everywhere else is ATH Podcast, and reach us at Gmail at ATHpodcast@gmail.com. I'm not going to bother with my plugs. Just follow our show. John?
You can find me at Movie Guy John on most things.
Cool. Ryan?
I used to give up my Instagram, but then just a bunch of porn stars started following me, so I'm not going to.
No,
anymore.
that's funny. Perfect. Most places, Chewie9, all one word, spelled out.
Cool. And Elliot?
On Twitter as Escape ELL, and then I do 2 podcasts, the sci-fi audio play Beyond School and the superhero television show Superhero Sampler.
Which we will be on tomorrow.
Yeah, if it plays well.
Whether you want it or not.
If it works. Yay! Okay, so answer that question. Which villain from all of TMNT do we want to see in movies? And I'm going to go very, very easily. Rat King.
You said in the movies? It's not in movies?
This has to be a
That's
real
not in movies.
TMNT villain?
Real TMNT villain.
Metalhead.
Metalhead? Okay.
Yep.
I literally have none because because my exposure to TMNT is the movies.
That's so sad.
I know.
You watched the cartoon show. There were so many in the cartoon show.
And I remember Baxter, and they threw him in the latest one.
You haven't seen Baxter's The Fly.
There you
That's
go.
right.
That's what I want.
I just want to see Karai really be an important character in the movies. Because
Okay.
she was in these Us 2 live action ones, but she's just kind of like the side henchman thing. I'm like, no, Karai can be really cool.
Yeah.
Use her. Have her do things. Not just be the one saying, get in the van!
Elliot?
I don't know if this is a good guy or bad guy, but I had a Ninja Turtles toy that was a garbage man who...
He's a good guy.
Okay.
He's
well,
kind of half and half.
So the half of his body composed of trash can be the villain that takes over the good part of his brain. But the reason I want him is because he had this garbage can that would stick into his back, and then he had this little sidekick who was like, he had eye stalks,
Right.
and he was this little green guy. I called him Booger. I don't know if that's actually his name. It was Booger and Muckman in terms of
Oh,
like my
yeah, I
toy
remember
playtime
those.
adventures. that guy would be a visual feast for the eyes.
Yes. So with that, thank you to Elliot for coming out this week.
Sure.
And bye.
Bye.
Turtles,